So I've gotten a bunch of questions after the last post that I did having to do with the neutrality rules, the new neutrality rules in the classrooms. I'm on my way out of town, so I just thought I'd do a little quick follow-up about what this all means and what the cost is and how it's going to be borne by mostly students of color, Palestinian students, women, and queer students in the classroom. So not only has the Trump administration forced our universities to disavow any commitment to racial, class, sexual orientation-based sensitivity in our teaching, and in the ways the classroom dynamic takes place, but we're now instructed that we have to be neutral as to these difficult topics. So let me just share a little bit from my office hours about what I've seen over 30 years of teaching at 3 different institutions. But let me just tell you, when I first started teaching, I was at, my first job was at University of Arizona. Secondly, I went to Fordham. When I came to Fordham in the mid-90s, there were several members of the faculty who actually went out for lunch with each other to celebrate Hitler's birthday. Look it up. This actually was true. There were many of us who were aghast on the Fordham Law faculty that happened, but that sort of thing took place. And then I moved to Columbia, and George Fletcher, who taught at the law school a mandatory course for graduate students where he would ask the one Palestinian student in the class and one of the several Israeli students in the class who had just come out of their military service in Israel. I'm not saying this to profile Israelis, it was just true, to stand up in the front of the classroom and simulate a checkpoint. So that happened for sure. Fletcher also would tell slavery jokes in class and use the N-word regularly because he thought that made him look cool. And then Philip Bobbitt, a very famous, well-known faculty member who also teaches mandatory classes at the law school, once had, not that long ago, a black federal court judge come to his class who was so fabulous. At the end of the class, Bobbitt said to him, "Oh, it's too bad we have the 13th Amendment. Otherwise, I could keep you here longer." So not only are those kinds of events in the classroom, which quite clearly are discriminatory, create a hostile educational environment, ones that are going to be addressed even less frequently than they were before, which was almost not at all. But now faculty are supposed to teach the hard topics, the controversial topics neutrally, and where there's discomfort among the students, they should role play and assume the position they're least comfortable with. So the black students are supposed to defend slavery, the queer students are supposed to defend the idea that trans people shouldn't exist or have rights. The Palestinian students have got to take the position of how Jewish Israelis might feel in the classroom. And that's what I mean when I say that these new rules make the cost of those rules borne by those with the least privilege in the classroom. And what they're really designed to do is protect the most privileged students, the most privileged faculty, as some of my examples show. We'll see how this goes this next year with teaching with these rules, but man, it's going to be tough.